Welcome to Fridays with Father Geckle, a weekly show covering tradition, culture, and news on the Traditionalist Podcast. USAID. Did anybody else not know what that was before this week? Maybe I should have known, but I had no idea what this organization was, what it stood for, how horribly they were robbing American taxpayers. And that's what I want to get into mainly today. Main topic, USAID. Before we get started though, if you don't mind hitting that like button, leaving a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell, so you can always keep up to date with all of the content that we've got coming up in this channel. But leave a comment here. How many of you knew what USAID was? Am I one of the only ones that didn't know what it was and that it was in the background there? Leave a comment. That's my first question. First thing to comment on today. Second thing to comment on. Does anybody else have a favorite mug? Coffee mug. I've got a couple favorites. This one right here is my new favorite. Catholic Family Podcast. They sent me one of these as a gift for helping out with some of the videos or some of the recordings and stuff. And it's pretty cool. I like it. I've got some parishioners that have gotten me some pretty good ones too. Some mugs for Christmas or whatever else. But this is my new favorite. Anyway, do you all have a favorite mug? Or are you like some people that collect a dozen mugs for each person in the family? I don't know. Anyway, just random fun question. This is a morning that I definitely need a cup of strong coffee. I've got a regular, like a Keurig for making coffee, but I also have an AeroPress, which is one of my favorite coffee making tools. It's brilliant. If you haven't heard of an AeroPress, look it up. They're fantastic. You can make really, really good coffee with those things, and they're inexpensive. That's my favorite part. They're inexpensive. They're really quick and easy to clean up. It's like no mess. It's quick and easy, and it makes fantastic coffee. So highly recommend. And no, they're not sponsors. We don't get any money from anybody to promote their products or anything. Anyway, just a fun little thing. AeroPresses are the way to go if you want coffee, if you want an easy thing to take with you if you're traveling. AeroPresses are fantastic. But anyway, with that aside, getting into the serious stuff now. USAID. I didn't know what that was, as I said earlier. But this week, the news has been all about that. And somebody asked me what USAID was, and I had to look it up because I didn't know what it was or what it stood for. And if you Google it, it says the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, International Development, is the principal U.S. agency to extend assistance to countries recovering from disaster, trying to escape poverty, and engaging in democratic reforms. So, wow, interesting. Okay, so it's a goodwill agency. It's what do we say? It's something that give alms to the poor, right? And an aid to disaster places that are recovering from disaster. Sounds pretty noble. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, obviously that's not what has been used for. It's kind of I heard somebody saying the acronym there, it's like a way to trick you. USAID, it's giving aid to people. It's helping people out. And that was done intentionally to kind of get you thinking it's a good thing. It's a good organization. But let's take a look at some of the examples of how money has been used by this organization, this USAID, to benefit very progressive agendas and benefit politicians and others that are taking a humongous cut from these things. But yeah, let's take a look at some examples here. This is a screenshot that I took of a post on Facebook. I'm still trying to figure out how to share stuff on these videos. Still kind of new at it. But this is posted by a Kevin Steele. And I'm just going to read through it. You paid for it, but not anymore. Breaking this morning, the White House releases more projects that you paid for with USAID, the wasteful, unaccountable government agency that has been dismantled by Doge and Elon Musk. Here is a look at where your tax dollars went, including terror groups. I hope you're proud. So, some examples. $7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. I'm sure the Sri Lankan people are really interested in that, but, takes millions of dollars to teach them this. $20 million for a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. $4.5 plus million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. $1.5 million for art for inclusion of people with disabilities. $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. $6 million to transform digital spaces to reflect feminist democratic principles. $2 million to help the BBC value the diversity of Libyan society. I don't even know what that means. $10 million worth of USAID funded meals, which went to an Al-Qaeda-linked terror group. Now, that's great. Let's spend billions of dollars fighting Al-Qaeda and then fund them. $25 million for, I don't know what that word is, Deloitte? Whatever. Looks French, so obviously I can't pronounce it. $25 million for that to promote green transportation in the country of Georgia. $2.5 million to promote inclusion in Vietnam. $16.8 million for a separate inclusion group in Vietnam. $5 million to EcoHealth Alliance, one of the key NGOs funding bat virus research at the Wuhan lab. Fishy or batty, whatever. That was bad. I'm sorry. $20 million for a group related to a key player in the Russiagate impeachment hoax. $1.1 million to an Armenian LGBT group. $1.2 million to help the African Methodist Episcopal Church Service and Development Agency in Washington, D.C. build a state-of-the-art 440-seat auditorium. $1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. $2 million to promote LGBT equality through entrepreneurship in Latin America. $500,000 to solve sectarian violence in Israel, just 10 days before the Hamas October 7th attack. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. I think that's enough for now. That's enough for now. Holy moly. This is insanity. How do you feel, America? How do you feel that your taxpayer dollars are going to fund these programs in these other countries or in our country for promoting these things? And another huge one that came out was that this organization was basically the funding for different left-wing media companies that were obviously promoting or attacking conservatives, conservative values, and promoting the left-wing agenda and left-wing politicians, etc. So it's been funded by the government. It's been funded by the taxpayers. How do you feel about that, America? Well, there's two different reactions. There's the one reaction from the people uncovering this and the people that voted for these things to be uncovered. And the reaction is, finally, we knew this was happening, maybe not to this extent and just how crooked, but we knew this was happening. And we wanted these people to go in there and expose it all. That's why we voted for Trump. That's why we voted for this movement, because we're sick of the establishment, the corruption, and the leeching off of the American people, leeching off of them for these insane policies and agendas. So there's that reaction from us that we're excited and happy and outraged all at once, excited to see it coming to light, excited to see something being done, outraged at the corruption and the hypocrisy and the lies and the theft, and happy that something is, like I said, something is being done about it. But the other side, they're outraged too. But they're outraged that is being uncovered. They're outraged that you don't trust your institutions. They're outraged that Elon Musk is coming in here, somebody who's not that intelligent, somebody who's not good with money, even though he's the richest man in the world. Interesting. The attack is on him. The attack is on these other people that are uncovering the corruption. How do you say you're guilty without saying you're guilty? How do you say that you're part of this problem, that you have been getting this support or this money, this funding from this organization? How do you say it without saying it? They're in full panic mode. They're in hysteria over this, that this is being uncovered. And seeing the hypocrisy and seeing the panic is, it's quite entertaining, to be honest. It's quite entertaining. You know, when you have the thought that comes to mind is back in the day when I was growing up and we had to clean out the chicken coop, smelly job, a dirty job, a dusty job. And we had a feed trough that had a hole in the bottom of it. And so the feed would sometimes fall through, obviously, if there's a hole in it. And pretty much every time that I would clean out the pen, you move the little feed trough there, and this little family of mice scurries off and heads for the corners. They were leeching off the food that was meant for the chickens, and as soon as they were brought to light, as soon as you uncovered the hole and uncovered their hiding place, they panicked. They scurried. And that's what we're seeing in the establishment. That's what we're seeing in the media and the politicians and things and others that have been involved in this. And just how big is this organization? Let's take a look at this. If I can find the right button here. Trump has, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry, my bad. That's another thing I was going to show. 60,000 federal employees have taken up President Trump's buyout resignation offer. I'm sure you've seen that. Trump said that if you guys aren't going to, well, here's a buyout option. Like we're cleaning house here, but we'll give you, what was it, 8 months of pay for you to just leave. And now we have 60,000 federal employees taking them up on that deal. But sorry, that was the wrong one. I didn't mean to share that one. Let's see here. Let's get the right one. This is to show just how many employees this organization had. Trump slashes USAID workforce by 97%, keeping only 294 out of 10,000 staff. You know, if you have to slash the employees of any group or any organization or business by 97%, that's just mind-boggling to me. 97% of the workforce isn't necessary, isn't needed. I shouldn't even call them the workforce. They're employees. Doesn't mean they're doing any work. But 97% has been slashed. Yeah. Wow. So that 97% was non-essential, and we're leeching off of taxpayer dollars for who knows how long. 97%. I saw another, and this says 10,000 staff. I saw somewhere else saying there was like 14,000 staff or 12,000, something like that. But it's at least 10,000. And they can just go in there and cut 97% of them. So that many people, those thousands of people there, have just been pushing these silly agendas and living like kings off of your dime to fund all these LGBT stuff and other things. That's what they say it's for, but we all know it's going to the politicians and federal employees. Here's another one. We all heard about this one, right? The Episcopalian bishop, quote unquote bishop, who rebuked Trump's immigration policies from the pulpit, pocketed $53 million in taxpayer dollars. This is a screenshot from Alex Jones on Twitter. Yeah, somebody was doing a little video on this. $53 million of American taxpayer dollars went to this ultra left-wing female bishop of the Episcopalian Church. $53 million. No wonder she's been so big on attacking conservatives, Trump and others, and been so big about promoting the left-wing stuff. I saw a video of her from 2020 when they were doing the BLM riots and stuff, and she was out there all for the BLM movement and that stuff. Man, $53 million went to her. That's great. You know, I think the word politic is an interesting word. Politic. What it makes me think of is a tick, the bugs, my least favorite creature, I think. Well, in this world anyway. We won't talk about the devils because they're creatures, but they're definitely my least favorite. Least favorite. But tick is one of my least favorite insects, for sure. I don't mind spiders. Spiders don't bother me at all. A sister or two or three or five. Well, maybe not all of them, but a couple of them. Man, they cannot stand the spiders, and they get into their ninja pose whenever they see a spider pop out. I like spiders. I keep, if I can, I'll keep a spider around in the corner in my apartment here to take care of the bugs, take care of the insects. I'll name them. I love having spiders around. I don't mind spiders at all. They're cool. Ticks are my least favorite thing. That and snakes. Snakes and ticks are my least favorite. But ticks, they're just so nasty. Like everything about them, they're just these nasty, evil creatures that live off of other animals or people's blood. And they're just so nasty because you don't even know they're there. Like you go out for a walk and you come back and you have ticks all over you. Or they're hiding, in your hair or wherever. And you find them leeching off of you. And you have to be very careful about how you pull them out because if you're not careful, anyway, you know what happens if you're not careful pulling them out. It's pretty nasty. But you don't notice them sometimes. You don't notice them and they just sit there quietly, just doing their thing, leeching off of you. And then they just get so full, so filled up that they will eventually, if they're not found, just fall off your body because they're so bloated. You see that with dogs that have been out in the woods get ticks. Pretty nasty, right? Anyway, my least favorite insect by far are ticks. And it's not what the root of the word is by any means, but politic. It's funny how that works, isn't it? The politics. The politicians, anyway. The politicians, they're like ticks. If they're not held accountable. If they're given the opportunity, if they're not held accountable, if they don't have morals, if they have been part of this establishment that's been leeching off, it's just that system that they're part of. And they're leeching off. It's like a tick. And they're bloated and they need to be pulled out. They need to be eradicated. That establishment. This is one of the reasons why we really need term limits for these senators and other politicians. Need to be term limits because you got the Nancy Pelosi's and you got the Clintons and the Bushes and other families that have been in there for so long, milking the system, leeching off of American taxpayers. And what good have they accomplished? What good have they accomplished? They're doing their job, the interests of the American people, helping the American people. Nope. So let's hope and pray that this trend continues, that the mice that are hiding under the feed trough are brought to light and scattered, that these problems can be repaired, the damage can be repaired. Let's hope and pray for that. Pray for our politicians. I'm going to say that probably every single show. Pray for our leaders, that we have good leaders, that our leaders will help improve matters in our country, politically, economically, etc. Pray for our leaders. Pray for our country. And that brings me to the second topic I wanted to bring up. I'm going to only talk about this kind of briefly. And that was a story about the Gaza deal. That's kind of a big deal. Trump saying that he wants the U.S. to own the Gaza Strip, and then he's going to set up buildings and housing and business and make it boom. I've got some, I don't know. I'm curious what your guys' opinions are. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to say it's a horrible idea. I think it's a horrible idea. My initial reaction to it was like, it's insanity. Okay, so there's a couple different points to it, right? I don't know how you feel about this, but my initial reaction was, this is awful. And one of the things that many of us don't like about Trump is that the kind of the blind side to Israel, of just wanting to support Israel immensely, regardless of the problems there. That's one of the big things that we don't like. we really don't like about Trump and his policies is that. And that's the first thing that came to my mind, hearing about, we're going to take over Gaza or whatever else. Is like, okay, who's pulling the strings here? Is Israel behind this? Are they wanting the U.S. to get involved so that we can just get more money? That was my first reaction. But then I saw the clip of Bibi Netanyahu standing right next to Trump there on that press release when Trump brought that up. And his reaction was interesting. He didn't like it. From his body language, from his expression, it seemed like that was the very first time that he heard about it. Which that's Mr. Davis had that response that he thinks that this is something a way to show that Trump is and the U.S. is not happy with how Israel has conducted themselves in this war. And that was his take on it. Now I can see that. My first reaction was, oh boy, here we go. This is Israel talking. But then when I saw Netanyahu's reaction, I was like, this is the first time he's hearing about it, and he didn't like it. His expression said it all. He was not a fan. And then that got me thinking, well, obviously, Israel wants to own the Gaza Strip. They want to push all the Palestinians out. They want to control the whole region. They want to own the whole region. So why would they want the U.S. taking up that territory and making it profitable and beneficial for the Palestinian people? That is not what Israel wants. So I don't think, I may be wrong, that's usually more likely, but what do you think? What do you think about that? Do you think that this is something that Trump is really just thinking about the American, well, I don't, not just the American people. I don't think he's too interested in it, Gaza as being a benefit for America, which is, don't understand why he would want to do it when we have so many other problems. But it seems to me that he's actually interested in solving the problem over there, or at least helping to solve the problem over there and helping the Palestinian people. It seems like that's what it's about, but I don't know. What do you think? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. Leave a comment on that. What do you think this is all about? I think Trump being the way he is, Trump being Trump, is he's used to, he's a businessman. He runs business. You have a problem, we're going to take care of it. And if there's a problem, if you're a leader, if you have that personality of a leader, if a bunch of people are trying to solve a problem and they can't solve the problem, as a leader, you want to come in and say, okay, you're not getting it done. Get out of here. I'll take care of it. I'll make sure it's done right. Get out of here. I'm tired of you messing around. I'll take care of it. To me, that's what this seems like after thinking about it for a little while. At first, like I said, my reaction is, oh, this is awful. I still think it's a horrible idea. And I saw one meme where somebody was saying that, the president reveals entirely original new idea of taking over and running a country in the Middle East, as if that hasn't happened over and over again. I heard somebody else say that it has to do with oil, that American interests are served by the oil industry and having a place over there. I don't know. It caught everybody by surprise, I think. Netanyahu was the most surprised and the least pleased, I would say. So to me, that's a good thing. To me, that says that I think it kind of, if I'm reading it right, it kind of dismantles some of the notion that Trump is a pawn of Israel. I hear people talk about that and say that that's the case. Maybe. It seems that there's some evidence of that, but at the same time, this is interesting. I don't think that this is what Israel wants. So anyway, I've gone on long enough on that. Like I said, leave a comment there. I'd like to hear what you all think about it. It's a pretty wild thing, pretty wild and very Trumpy. So I think I kind of hate it, but I kind of see where he's coming from. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to just keep this one short today. I've got to get on the road. I've got to go to one of my mass centers out of state today, so I don't have a whole lot of time here. Just want to kind of end just saying thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting us here by the likes, the comments, sharing the show, tuning in with the live streams. Whenever we have a live stream, it's always great to have a live stream and get the feedback from everybody live and be able to respond to it. And I'm kind of curious if if that's something that you would like to see on this show. I could do a live stream maybe. Well, I won't be able to do it next week or the week after because I'll be traveling. But on a day that I'm able to, would you be interested in having a live stream on this show? I'll leave a comment if you would. If I get enough people saying they would like to do a live stream on the Fridays with Father Geckle segment, then I'd be happy to do so. So yeah, leave a comment on that if you would like to have a live stream here. Could see if I could get some other people to join me. And if so, what's a good time? That's one of the things with the live streams is finding a time that actually works for people, or that they would be, not busy with other stuff, or would be interested in tuning in and being able to join the conversation. It's not too fun if you do a live stream and there's only 10 people and there's no comments or whatever else. So if we're going to do a live stream, I want it to be at a time that was opportune. So yeah, leave some feedback there. I'd like to hear what y'all have to say about that. If there'd be an interest in a live stream, question and answer type of thing, or whatever. So I'm going to wrap it up there today. That's about all I got to talk about for today, and I got to get going. So thanks for tuning in. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I will be back next week. And stay tuned. Stay tuned to the Traditionalist podcast. We got a lot more coming. Take care. God bless. Godspeed.